Hi, I'm Sharice Watson, and I've been through the menopause roller coaster. Welcome to But My Vagina Still Works, the podcast, mental well-being and lifestyle changes. Welcome back to But My Vagina Still Works, the podcast, mental well-being and lifestyle changes. Today, I am speaking with Wendy Smittick, and I'm so happy to have her on because I did a previous podcast with a guest who experienced really weird things with HRT. So I wanted to also have someone come on and share their positive experience with HRT. And I so happened to find out about Wendy because I know her beautiful daughter that lives around me. Wendy lives in Colorado. And so her beautiful daughter lives around me. And what we had a discussion one day about her mother's experience with HRT. And this was about 2 years ago, maybe. But I said then, I was like, I really want to talk to her. And I didn't even have a podcast then, but I wanted to know about your experience because I never took HRT. I white knuckled through my menopause journey. And if you've watched any of my previous episodes, you know that I experienced severe depression, clinical depression. And so I wanted to be a person to help other women going through this journey. And so today we're going to talk about something that a lot of people have questions about. Is hormone replacement therapy safe? Does it work? What does it do? And that's what we're going to discuss today. So we're going to start. Can you take us back, Wendy, to the moment you first realized you might be in perimenopause? How old were you? And what were those initial signs that made you say, something's going on here?
There was only one sign. I will never forget the day it happened. I was getting ready for church. I'm in the bathroom. I'm curling my hair. And out of nowhere, I break into this sweat. And I'm not even a sweaty person, but I break into this sweat. And I mean, it is glistening. And within 5 minutes or so, it was over. But the extent of my sweating, I did not have a curl left in my hair. It just flopped. And I knew immediately. I said, that was a hot flash. And I'm 37 years old. So yeah, that was the moment I knew. I sought out medical help, not necessarily for anything else other than to reaffirm what I already knew.
Okay.
And to the 2 or 3 doctors I went to, they were like, you're 37, you're too young. It's not perimenopause. I said, what else could it possibly be? What is a hot flash a symptom of other than perimenopause or menopause? So they told me that they were like, well, it's possible and we could draw your labs, but it's still not going to give you the why. And the why was the only reason I needed. I knew the what. I just didn't know why at 7. So.
Okay. That's very interesting because every Sunday I go live on an app called TikTok. I don't know if you're familiar with that app, but we have a group of women that go live on there called the Menopause Warriors. And we just do a lot of research about things. And we researched how women experience menopause differently, racially. And we found that Black women, especially in America, experience menopause symptoms more severely for a longer period of times and earlier because of epigenetics and past trauma, also living in survival mode for a while. And today I found out that Wendy, like me, was a teen mom. So I'm sure that you spent some years in survival mode as well, right?
Indeed, I was. So I got pregnant when I was 15 and I had my son 2 weeks after I turned 16. And when I tell you those 2 weeks matter, whether you're 15 or 16, when you have your first child matters. But still, I was a teen mom of very traumatic. I am the daughter and the granddaughter of a pastor. So you can imagine how traumatic and embarrassing and shameful that was, right? And then I was a single mom for 12 years. So all the things that go along with that, impoverished. One thing that I say about being a teen mom is You need to have a job. That's 8 hours a day. Hopefully you're doing something that will improve you in your later years to be able to take care of your child. So I was in school full time. That's 8 hours. And then you have a child, 8 hours, right? That doesn't even account for sleep, right? So somewhere along there, something will not get your best. It will be your child, your job, your school, or yourself. It is impossible to be all things at that age with the time allotted. And so when I look back, I think the thing that did not get 100% of me was my job. I showed up, I did the bare minimum, I collected a check. So, yeah.
So based upon that, like just knowing that about you, that you are a teen mom, that makes me think that's probably why you started your menopause earlier, based upon the research I've done, because you were living in survival mode from a very early age. That is trauma. That is lived trauma. And those are the things that cause Black women to experience menopause earlier and longer and more severe, unfortunately.
All right. Thank you.
Now, maybe I gave you the why. Not a doctor, but maybe that's the one.
Yes, indeed.
One of the most common yet often unspoken challenges of menopause is its impact on intimacy and libido. In what ways did this journey affect your relationship with your own body and your sense of sensuality?
Ooh, girl. First, I would like to, so I told you about my initial onset. What was my first symptom? But what I'll tell you is thank God for girlfriends. Thank God for girlfriends. Because what I didn't know was that my libido was affected. I did not know that. All I knew is this wonderful husband that I had. I didn't want to really have sex as often anymore. And it wasn't because I didn't love him. I just knew, like, I would much rather hold your hand than have sex. I just would. And I love you. The love isn't gone. But I didn't know that was related. Right? So then I have this girlfriend, and I want to say this is 10 years later. So I have all these symptoms, but I don't know that they're related to menopause and not aging. Right? So this girlfriend of mine, I love her to pieces. She had an emergency hysterectomy. So this person one day had a hysterectomy and boom, everything all at once, right? So in her talking to me, she was like, girl, I have hot flashes. I have night sweats. I don't want to have sex with my husband. I have vaginal dryness. I have joint achiness. I had all those things and I had no idea that they were related.
She went into medical menopause. That's what it's called.
Yes. Right. And so, like I said, I didn't know that the things, for instance, the joint achiness, I went to the doctor and they were like, yeah, you have arthritis. I said, oh, okay. And so you asked me how that affected my relationship with my husband. My husband and I were friends for a year before we ever started dating. Before we were intimate, we were friends. And then we had a tumultuous 10-year relationship where it was just on again and off again, moving away, coming back, moving away again, coming back. And I say all that to say we were friends first. We were friends through all of our breakups. We were friends. So now here we are. And our relationship hadn't been built on intimacy. It had been built on friendship. And still, it took a horrible turn on our relationship, this lack of intimacy, right? And I laugh about it now, but I probably got a speech from him every other month. Why don't you love me? Why don't you want to have sex with me? And I can't explain that because I knew I hadn't stopped loving him. I just, can we hold hands? And in men terms, they don't want to hold your hand.
Right.
That is how they understand how you love them, is your ability to be intimate with them. So I would say that, yeah, for at least 8 to 10 years, we struggled with that.
Wow.
Right?
That's a long time.
Until this friend. With no one around to explain.
And you feel shame Listen, I know of what you speak. I know because, and you feel shame because that's my job as a wife. I'm supposed to be able to do this at least. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I feel you because, wow. So that's deep. And the shame is unbelievable. Did you feel that? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm already like a jealous person, but you can imagine now I'm more jealous, right? If you even look at somebody, right? Or you speak to them in a manner in which I don't think is appropriate. I'm not doing my job in the bedroom to ensure that you're well taken care of, that you're not out in these streets being thirsty, right? While then, right, oh, you looked at her, you spoke to her, you did whatever, and it just increased my level of jealousy because I wasn't able to fulfill that part of our lives to make me feel secure. And then, of course, I didn't have that perfect body either, right? So I'm
Thanks
thinking,
again to menopause.
Right? Oh, maybe since, right? I don't have the perfect body. Things are not bang. Maybe that's why I don't want to have sex, right? Maybe that's why I don't want to be intimate. So yeah, definitely affected the relationship.
So you were saying your girlfriend who went into medical menopause is what helped you recognize that was a menopause symptom. So what did you do?
Yes. So in addition, and I now call her my personal shopper because this girl is never going to just say okay to something that's going to go on. Like she does research, she talks to people. So I want to say within a year, she was like, girl, I found this hormone replacement therapy and you got to go get your labs done and they gear it specifically for you. And it's a cream that you put on. So I tried that and it made a little bit of a difference, not a whole lot. It definitely improved my libido. Some of my vaginal dryness went away, but not everything. So then hatch back in this girl maybe 2 years later. And she says, girl, I found this other thing, right? I mean, and she will have it researched. She knows what insurance covers, what insurance doesn't, how much it costs, who in town does it, all the things, right? Thank God for girlfriends. So she said, there's this new thing. It's bio-tea. It's plant-based. They take your labs. She said they take your labs and they build it specifically for you. So that where your testosterone is low, they're getting it to a certain level. If your estrogen is low, they do that, right? And so I went to the person she recommended. I got my insert. And we can talk about that a little more if you want to later. And my girlfriend, she had already had it. And she had the whole testimony. Oh my gosh, girl, this is going to restore you back to the Garden of Eden. It's going to be all the things, right? And she's looking at her husband. Right, husband? Things are great, aren't they? He's like, yeah, they're good. So once I got it, my husband's like looking at me every day, staring at me to see is there any kind of sign, like for days. And it took about 2 weeks to kick in. And oh my gosh, he ran to her. He was like, girlfriend, thank you. You have changed our lives. And so, and I think my first one was right before COVID. So, COVID was horrible, but for us too, our last child was gone. Wendy was on HRT. Life was grand. And he would tell people, he's like, she on that stuff and she chasing me around the dining room table. She asking me every day, we're going to have sex or what? Like, just tell me now so I could just fix my mind. That was me to him. So it has been life-changing.
That's awesome. But it didn't just help with that symptom, though, did it? It helped with many others, right?
It helped with all of them. So the insomnia, gone. The achy joints that was, quote, arthritis, gone. The night sweats, the hot flashes, the vaginal dryness, the libido. But it was the libido and the vaginal dryness that was, I'm not just suffering by myself. My husband and I are both suffering. So that's probably the main one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
It didn't give me that banging body, but
That's
yeah.
girl, but does your husband like it? I think so.
My husband loves it. In fact, he told her, he was like, "You have changed our lives.
Wow.
We love you so much."
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that story. I really do. Because I don't know if the reason my podcast is called But My Vagina Still Works is that I have written this menopause wellness journal, and it's called But My Vagina Still Works. And in it, I separated into 3 sections: the physical part of menopause, all the symptoms, the emotional wellness that comes with menopause, and then the social wellness. And a lot of people overlook the social part, but it's important. It was important for you to have that sister friend who said, "Hey, this is what's happening and this is what you can do." I didn't have that. I went to women that were older and they would tell me stuff like walk or, simple little things. And I looked at them like they were crazy, but in fact, they were telling me some things that were good. I just looked at it as like, how is that going to help all this? So the fact that you found that and it helped you is great. But you were saying that some people think you can't take it for a long period. What can you tell us about that?
So what I can say about BioT specifically is it's plant-based, right? It is specific to you. It's not this generic what our grandmothers maybe used to take, where they're prescribing the same thing for every woman, right? But I do remember growing up, maybe in my teens and my 20s, there was a caution, 2 cautions, of course, which is that hormone replacement therapy can cause cancer. But the scariest thing to me was they would say, and once you get on it, you can't ever get off. You can never get off.
Okay.
And so I think that's probably why I didn't research it for myself. It was just like, I don't want anything that I have to take forever, right?
Yeah.
And what I have learned is what they're saying is true, but it's flipped upside down. You get off of it anytime you want to. Those symptoms are coming back though, right? Those symptoms are definitely coming back once it's out of your system. So the can't ever get off of it is not true. You can get off of it whenever you want to. But all of those symptoms come flooding back in. And so what they say for BioT is you should take it every 3 months. It is about, I want to say maybe about $400 or $500 to get the inserts. They cut a very small slit in the fleshiest part of your buttock, and they insert these little pellets. It's pretty painless. It's pretty painless as things go, right? I compare everything to childbirth, right? So yeah, it's a shot. It's a shot. They numb you up. And so along the way, like when my husband describes me chasing him around the coffee room table, right? When he describes how every day I'm asking him whether or not we're having sex today, that was a symptom that my testosterone was too high. So when I got my annual labs, like I would do anyway, my red blood cells were too high. My testosterone was through the roof. It was more than what a man's testosterone level is.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. And so one of the ways that I managed that was I didn't go in and have my reinserts every 3 months. But I also talked to my provider. Her and we had long conversations. She was really good at what she did. And I said, like, yeah, my testosterone is way low. So we got to balance this where my levels are normal and I'm not having symptoms. So the other thing that I did was I stopped going every 3 months and I would just wait until like 1 or 2 symptoms would be okay. But the most severe to me was the insomnia and the joint achiness. And so once those would come back, and maybe they would take about 6 or 7 months to come back, that's when I would go
get
back.
another shot.
And immediately my temperature would go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's very interesting because I think a lot of people have the perception of the HRT. Well, I wouldn't say a lot of people. I'll just say me. I had the perception that, you would have to keep going back and forth because, like you said, things fluctuate. So in my mind, I couldn't picture how are they just going to give you one shot or one pill or something, and then next month it's the hot flashes that are driving me crazy. So I got to keep going back to get adjustments made. But you're saying with the bio, which is plant-based mainly, right? Not synthetic. Non-synthetic hormones.
Yes.
I think the
Not
difference
synthetic.
is that's plant-based and not synthetic. That makes
Right.
it safer and easier to adjust, probably.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, yeah, they draw your labs once or twice a year to see where your levels are. And then they adjust the amount of medication that they're giving you.
Okay.
Now, I will say that there are some drawbacks. There's definitely some drawbacks. One of the drawbacks I'll mention is I talked about the little slit they, cut to insert these little pellets, right? I probably have, and so let's say I've had 20 of those, right? I probably have 7 or 8 little bitty scars from the inserts. Like I'm not going to be a stripper, right? That's off the table. However, I also don't want my butt just marked up forever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I scar easily. So that is definitely one of the drawbacks.
Okay.
That's definitely one of the drawbacks.
But I mean, if you weigh in things, you say, well, no hot flashes, I can sleep. Yeah, maybe I'll take that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, before you decided to try hormone replacement therapy, did you try any other methods or holistic solutions to manage your symptoms?
I did. There were some, like you said, you went to some older ladies and you got some suggestions. There were some, I think, black cohash, maybe some tea or something that I tried. And yeah, there was nothing over the counter, or somebody was just like, well, for your libido, like go in the bathroom and take a shower and doll yourself up, and then you'll feel more sexy. And if you feel more sexy, then yeah.
I'm laughing because
I still just wanted to hold hands.
It's way more to it than just putting on some makeup and clothes. When you in that low libido stuff that comes with menopause, it ain't no dress yourself up. It doesn't make you want it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And it wasn't that I didn't want it at all, but I would say maybe like instead of 2 or 3 times a week, it was like 2 times a month maximum.
Yeah, but and also you mentioned that you had vaginal dryness. That also is a symptom of menopause. And who wants to have painful sex? No one. So that's also probably, at least for me, that was another reason why it's like, no.
Well, and you're buying lubricant by the gallon,
Yeah, it's a
it helps. It's not the real.
It's not. And so for me, what really helped me finally after like what I call a 10-year menopause fog, what helped me was cannabis. And I know that's controversial to especially people in religious circles. So, I don't really talk about my journey a lot around the church that you and I are affiliated with, because I know that I'm going to get looks like, oh, you're a pothead. No. I use this for medical purposes. I have a medical marijuana license, and I know things about our body. For example, we have a system called the endocannabinoid system in our body that produces cannabinoids. And when estrogen starts to leave the body, that system goes out of whack. And that system is what helps women, mostly women, remain in homeostasis. So for me, since I white knuckled it through menopause, like I didn't even entertain HRT. Like I was afraid it was going to make me have cancer. I finally was introduced to how cannabis could help me. And that's when I got my libido back. That was like 10, 11 years. Like you said, years of suffering.
Yeah. Well, and I want to say one of the reasons, because we get so much of our family history and our information from our mothers and our grandmothers. My mother had a hysterectomy in her 20s.
Oh my.
So by the time I am 40 experiencing that, my mother cannot help me, right? My grandmother died in her 50s. There was no one I could go to. And my sister, who was a year older, wasn't experiencing what I was experiencing. So I was literally just left with no information. No information.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't And I'm so glad you're doing this podcast. And I'm so glad that it's for women of color because the information is out there. You don't have to suffer.
Right. And it's important to have sister friends to talk to because you never know. They may be going through the same thing and you're sitting there suffering in silence when you could be talking to them. That's one of the main reasons I do this too, because my thing was my most debilitating symptom was depression. And as it got worse and worse, it almost took me out. So that's why I do this. It's really important that we have sisters and people to help us through this journey. So important. And that's why I'm glad I met you. Now, menopause is so much more than just a list of symptoms, though. It's a profound transformation. Looking back at the woman you were when this all started, how would you say this journey has changed you and shaped you, the incredible woman that you are now?
Well, and I can't just lump it into premenopause, perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause as a person, right? Because as these things are happening to you, you're also aging, right? And you're experiencing some things within yourself. And so I want to say, I remember, so mind you, this happened when I was 37. At 40, on my 40th birthday, I said, I want to go into the grocery store. I want to find the biggest pink rollers I can find, put them in my hair, go to the grocery store. Because the way I was raised, you don't go out the house looking crazy. It's just what you don't do. But I just thought, oh, when I turn 40, I'm going to stop being pretentious. I'm going to walk into the woman that I am. And that's how I'm going to start it. And then I'm going to cut my hair. Now, I've always had long hair, but I was like, oh, and I'm going to cut my hair short. Found out an ex-girlfriend lived in the neighborhood. So I was just like, that'd be the day I run into that chick with my big pink rollers. So we're not doing that. And the husband didn't want me to cut my hair. But I still walked into my 40s with this sense of, I am woman. I am all the things. I don't care what the latest dress style is. I don't care if I am the latest fashionable, if I know the things. Like, I don't care. I am who I am. And who I am is beautiful, right? I am a beautiful person. I am what God created. Right? There's only one of me on the planet. And so I think in my 40s, as I'm walking through this journey, I'm also aging in a way that says, own what you are, own your imperfections, right? And just be you. Now I think, and I am, so blessed. I just turned 60 last week. And when I tell you, it comes with such a sense of gratefulness. But now I'm on the other side of menopause. I'm post-menopause. I already know what my worth is. And one of my things that don't make me who I am is the fact that I can make children. Who cares? Who cares that I can't have babies anymore?
Right.
Right? And even when people say, tell me about yourself, I will never start with my children. I will never start with my husband. I am those things. I am a mother and I'm a woman. I'm a wife, but I am a person. And who I am is not dependent on who's in my life. Right. And so learning those things, I think just all come together to say, I have more years behind me than I have in front of me. And I'm going to make the best of those years. I'm going to try to stay healthy, right? I'm going to try to stay knowledgeable about my health. And that includes my sexual health, my mental health, my emotional health, right? And so I can't separate those out from the 20 years that I've been going through this journey. It's all clumped in together. But I just stand before you today, so grateful to still be on this planet, acknowledging that God has still a plan for my life. And part of that is being part of this sisterhood and sharing my journey on either teen mothering, parenting, step parenting, being a wife, going through menopause. And I think the thing that is truly consistent is just being part of the sisterhood and lifting each other up and sharing our experiences. Because that's one of the things that Satan would have you do, is to shut down, close yourself in. You're all alone. Your problems are your own. Nobody can help you. And it's just like, no, Like, God allowed me to go through these trials, even the trial of menopause, right? To share with others. And that's why I say people don't have to go through what I went through. That's a painful time. And I would imagine many marriages do not survive it. They just don't. So,
Honestly,
yeah, being part of the sisterhood is sharing. Yeah, I can see
listen,
that.
I feel the same way because I feel like I used to just wonder, why did I have to go through all that? It was a horrible experience. Menopause from Perry to now. Now, not so much now, but I'm just saying, I used to think, why did I have to go through all that? And I know now it's because I need to help other people to feel some type of camaraderie with someone when they're going through it. So they don't get to the place that I got where I just felt like I don't even want to be here no more. I just don't. And I know that a lot of women go through that in menopause because I've researched about women in their 40s and 50s and 60s becoming very depressed. It's not that something's wrong with your mind. It's estrogen leaving your body causing this. But you can feel shame around that too. You know what I mean? Like depression.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the Lord.
Absolutely. And brain fogginess. I think we didn't talk about that. The brain fogginess,
Yeah.
right? The can't remember, right? I can remember something when I was 5 years old, and yet can't find my glasses, can't find my watch, can't find my phone, can't find my keys.
Can't remember why you walked in a room.
Absolutely. That is certainly part of it too.
But I'm glad that I met you through your lovely daughter, because now I have a sisterhood in Denver. Is that where you in Colorado? And,
Indeed. Yes.
And maybe I can come out and visit you, or you said you like traveling. Maybe we could travel together someday. That would be nice.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for joining my podcast and for being so open with your journey. For the women listening right now who are feeling lost, overwhelmed, or even invisible on their journey, what kind of wisdom or what piece of wisdom would you like to give them?
Woo. I think just acknowledging, because I'm going to circle back. This is so important. Acknowledging that who you are is not the children that you brought into this world. Who you are is not who you married or divorced or never found. That is not the who you are, right? The essence of you is your personality, right? It is what you are on the inside and who you are, what you have to offer to the planet, right? He only made one of you. Be that person, right? Because you only have a short time here. Our time here, we are like a vapor. Do what you do, right? Be honest, transparent to yourself. You're imperfect. That's okay, right? Be the who that God made you to be and spend your time here, that you're here, being your authentic self. And enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride for however long it is.
Right. And the happiness that you can have is only dependent on you. It's not dependent on a person, place, or a thing. It comes from inside of yourself. Thanks, Wendy.
Indeed.
Thank you for joining me today. And we'll stay in touch, definitely.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to But My Vagina Still Works, the podcast, mental well-being and lifestyle changes. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Also, don't forget to pick up a copy of But My Vagina Still Works. You can get it from Amazon and in ebook form on Beacons AI. And join the Menopause Warriors every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on TikTok Live. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast because everything is greater later.